In this video, we are going to be talking about the structure of amides. This is our other functional group for this chapter, and now we will be identifying molecules containing amines and amide functional groups. Amides are carbonyl functional groups that have an N attached here. And so carbonyl functional groups that have an O or an N on them are also known as acyl functional groups. And so an acyl functional group means that we have our carbonyl carbon, but then we have an N or an O. So our esters in carboxylic acid were also acyl functional groups. All acyl functional groups can be interchanged, and so that's why we are going to be talking about chemical reactions later. But we can classify our amides as being either a primary amide, secondary amide, or tertiary amide. To do that classification, we have to think about how many carbons our nitrogen is attached to. All amides are at least attached to one carbon, but secondary amides have 2 carbons, and then tertiary amides have 3 carbons. So we are classifying them just like we did with our amines. Amides are everywhere. So if you've ever used mosquito repellent that contained DEET, DEET does have a amide functional group in there. This is NN-diethyl M-toluamide. This is toluene here, so that's toluamide. A little bit strange with the common nomenclature. Acetaminophen, which is the drug that's in Tylenol, also contains an amide functional group. So our amide functional group is here. That's a secondary amide because it also has the phenol hanging off of the nitrogen. Here we have urea, which is in urine. No picture needed for that one. And then we have melatonin. Melatonin also has an amide functional group here. And then it does also have our amine functional group. So melatonin has an ester, amine, and amide functional groups. Let's classify this amide. Is this one primary, secondary, or tertiary, or quaternary? This amide is tertiary. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and circle tertiary. Which compound below is not an amide? Go ahead and pause the video and think about this. Unpause the video when you're ready to check your work. So the one that is not an amide is the very last one. This molecule is not an amide because of this carbon in here. And so that's going to make that nitrogen and that not connected. And so that one's not an amide. They are connected in the other molecules. And so you can see that in one molecule it's written one way and the other molecule is written another way. But these are all connected. So these are all amides. And this one is a ketone with an amine group. We saw with our esters that there was this resonance structure possible between the nitrogen and the carbonyl carbon. And so we have the same type of issue with our amides. This is going to influence the ability for this bond here to rotate. This bond can't rotate. So those bonds between the carbon and nitrogen cannot rotate. That's going to make it slightly more rigid, which is going to be very important when we get into proteins. Likewise, we saw with our esters that we can form cyclic structures, and we can do something similar with our amide functional group.